You've probably heard the phrase, your favourite guitar player's favourite guitar player. Well, if you think of B.B. King, or Buddy Guy, or Jimi Hendrix, their favourite guitar player was T-Bone Walker. Now, T-Bone Walker is basically the proto lead guitar player. He's the first guy who was doing that electric lead guitar thing that we associate with the blues and rock and roll going forward. But he wasn't just a pioneer with his licks, he was also a pioneer with his moves. Now, if you were in a pub quiz and somebody said, who is the guitar player who famously played the guitar with their teeth? Who was the first guy to do that? You might say Jimi Hendrix. Well, it was actually T-Bone Walker. He was also the first rock and roll guitar player who was doing the splits, and that's going to pop up again in this little story. An interesting occasion where he does the splits and it goes wrong. Now, he was very famous for playing a specific 1949 Gibson ES-5. You can see T-Bone Walker pictured here with the guitar. Now, that guitar disappeared for decades, and then it turns up in a private collection in Paris, only to be bought by Patrick Rax, who also happens to be the co-owner of Regent Sounds Studios in Denmark Street in London. Now, if you're thinking, that sounds familiar, Regent Sound Studios, well, that's the recording studio where the Rolling Stones recorded their first two albums. Hendrix recorded there. Black Sabbath recorded their first album at Regent Sounds Studios. David Bowie made his first recordings there. And in Patrick's own words, it's hallowed ground. Now, Patrick gave me a little tour and showed me all the points of interest in that exact space, that iconic space where those albums were recorded. And if you hang around to the end of the video, you can click a little link and Patrick will give you the same tour that he gave me. And so Patrick purchases this guitar, but how do we prove that it is the exact guitar that T-Bone Walker played? How do we authenticate these instruments in this day and age? Well, that question comes with a big old question mark. That is until now, because Patrick has created a revolutionary company which is called the Registry. Now, using the exact same technology as a CT scanner that they use in hospitals, these guitars are now being 3D mapped in ways that boggle the mind. It's Star Trek meets guitar playing. And if you go to GibsonES5.com, link in the description, you can actually see the 3D scans of the T-Bone Walker 1949 Gibson ES-5. And, for instance, you'll see a little hairline fracture along the underside of the guitar. Well, the Registry has tracked down the exact gig, the exact moment where T-Bone Walker was doing the splits on stage and it all went horribly wrong. And he falls onto the guitar, causing this injury, and it's later repaired and the scan shows all of that. Patrick reckons there's 30 to 80 million historic instruments on the planet today that will hopefully be scanned into the Registry so that we can finally have provenance over these historic instruments, that we can authenticate them. And I personally can't wait to see how the story unfolds. Now, a point of interest here, I mentioned that the Registry uses CT scanning technology and it's in partnership with Nikon. The same Nikon who make cameras. They also make the optical technology that you find within these CT scanners. Now, the original CT scanner was developed, and it was developed by EMI, the same EMI of music publishing. And basically, on the tail end of the success of the Beatles, their producer, George Martin, then invests in this engineer. I believe his name is Rounsfield. You'll have to look that up. But he then creates the CT scanner. That technology then becomes part of Nikon's offering. And now, flash forward to 2026, the music industry, which then helps to improve the healthcare industry, it's now came full circle. Now we're using that same technology to authenticate guitars of historic importance so that you can then put your hand in your pocket and pay cool £1.5 million to own the guitar. Now, I was fortunate enough to get a shot of the guitar, and at the end of this video, you can actually see me playing the guitar. You can hear what it sounds like, and but before that, here's Earl Slick playing the guitar on that same visit. So as you can imagine, that was a pretty cool day at Regent Sounds Studios in London. So I urge you, if you're on Denmark Street, pop your head in. Go into the store. The staff are lovely. You can also meet Crispin, who is the resident guitar expert and co-owner of the studio as well. And you can put your eyes on that beautiful, beautiful instrument, the 1949 Gibson ES-5. And if you have a 1.5 million, then why don't you grab a hold of the guitar? Now, Regent Sound Studios, you're going to hear that name a lot more on this channel because we are partnering on a very exciting project that you're going to hear all about on April the 8th when we have an amazing announcement, and this is the result of months and months of work with the best in the business. So anyway, here's me playing the 1949 Gibson ES-5. And again, hang around and click the little box where you can get a little guided tour of Regent Sound Studios by co-owner Patrick Rax. Enjoy.